Hey. Hi, everyone. Meet Robbie, the founder of Revolution Pre-Crafted, right there.
Hello.
I'm Kylie Ung, managing partner of 500 Startups. And today I'll be leading this fireside chat. First off, I want to say, have you seen my house? It's in Damansara Utama, the house I grew up in. It's designed by Akong, a contractor, developers. It's kind of cool.
I haven't.
No, haven't? All right, cool. Well, I'll tell you, this is what we're going to talk about today, right? Southeast Asia is so different now. You know, we're the first wild digital till now. Back then, we're like, oh, who's the next unicorn? These days, we've got so many new unicorns. 500 Startups, when we first started investing here 4 years ago, we didn't expect to see that many so fast. So far, we have 3 unicorns in our portfolio. And to really understand the dynamics of these unicorns and how to find the next ones, we thought we'd catch one of them, bring them on stage, and get to know their story. Because although all unicorns have something in common, which is they're all above $1 billion in valuation, each unicorn is different in their own way. Each of them have their own story. So let's get started. Robbie, tell us what you were doing before all of this, before the glitz and the glam and your Brad Pitt life. What's going on before Revolution Pre-Crafted? What got you started?
No, so I come from industry. So I guess the difference between myself and my experience from others you have invested in is I actually come from industry. So I've been doing this for, I don't know, close to 12, 15 years in New York and in Manila. And I realized that there were pain points that I wanted to address, specifically an industry where CapEx is very high, there's inventory, very asset heavy, very specific to a site, so which means real estate is a very cyclical industry. So if you go through a nation crisis, you're practically, in debt, right?
But the stuff you were building back in New York, though, I mean, that's a very different life from what you're doing right now. Because back then you were a co-developer, was that right? Or
yeah.
you are a property developer back then.
Yes, so exactly that. Traditional real estate development where I had to buy land, I had to build a building and hire an architect and so on and so forth. And I basically sold to end users. So I wanted to disrupt the space that I actually knew very well.
Because you knew it was lucrative, but it was painful in its own way.
It's lucrative, but you have to wait 3-4 years for your profits, for your homes. If you do a horizontal community, you have to wait 2 years for that. So I wanted to disrupt the space and make it more expedient. And I wanted to use technology to actually expedite the process.
So when I first met you, I felt like you already had a very strong network with not only property developers, but a lot of high flyers, A-listers, right? And where did all of that network come from?
Just through the years of work and sort of my travels and all, which is essentially why I also wanted a truly global business plan. If you think about it, the biggest developer in the world is based in Hong Kong, worth 55 billion market cap, 6 years old. I can name 3 or 5 companies, unicorns obviously, who are worth just almost there or close to there in about 5 years. Mm-hmm. So I said, if I do what I'm currently doing, this will take me 30 more years or whatever through my lifetime, right? It could never happen in my lifetime.
Yeah, property. A lot of the richest families in the world have a lot of property assets, but you're saying it takes too long.
It takes too long, and it's not. The growth is not of hyper growth, right? Yep. After you've reached a certain peak, you can probably go 8 to 10%.
Yep.
Not to the point wherein I want to be in every region of the world.
Okay.
But asset light.
Okay.
So I wanted the antithesis of the business plan, their business plan.
So how did you do that? Property, but you don't want to have any assets. You want to be in the property industry, a big player in there, but you don't want to hold any assets. What did you do?
So an asset-light business model really means Revolution is a company that has 80 of the world's best architects and designers under global exclusivity, which means you can get a Pritzker Prize designed house from us at a very accessible price point. The value proposition is 5-fold. We can produce a home in at least 60 days, ship anywhere in the world, so we're global.
Okay.
So third, we use technology to create the product. And then if you look at a version 2.0 of our website, you can actually, as a developer, sign up with us and later on sell to the end users that they're going to be catering to. I sell to the developers mostly. Logistically impossible if I serve 1,000 people in this room in 50 different cities.
Okay.
It's just impossible.
So what you're saying is anyone in this room can go online and buy a house from you.
That's B2C.
Okay,
we don't
that's
so
B2C.
much focus on that. We focus on the players who will serve them in their communities.
Got it. So the local property developers can license your designs and work with you.
Buy our product.
Buy
We're not
your
a service company. So unlike many other companies you've invested in, we're a product company. We will ship the homes.
Got it, got it. So you construct it, you ship that product to them. So how does this, why doesn't the property developer just build their own houses? Why do they have to work with you?
I always say, if you have a budget, we will try to match it or beat it. And we have a great designer brand and do it in a much more expeditious manner. And that's strong value proposition. It's a very formidable one.
So it's kind of like the property developer doesn't have to commit to build the entire development because the customers, the end customers will order some of these homes from them, which are essentially your homes.
Yes.
And once they pay, then you ship, and that is very fast. So that way they don't have to commit to the whole
So
construction.
we actually add value to the developers too. So that actually shortens their cash crunch, right? So if you think about if there's a 1-year term payment from the end users and we produce in 60 to 90 days, the first 9 months is actually cash collection for them, assuming they don't pay us proportionately to what the end users have paid them. Follow?
Oh, totally. So I think that this kind of thing, of course, a lot of those who are familiar with the property investment, property and construction industry would be very keen to the nuances of this. But let's zoom out on the big picture now. Where are you today? How many property developers? How many bookings around the world? Where are you now?
29 projects in 21 countries signed up. We've announced 14. We're in every continent in the world. So just came from Singapore yesterday. Yeah. I'm going to Dubai for our project on Saturday. Going to India next week because we're not yet there. And I'm going to from Chile to Panama to Costa Rica the week after.
I saw some news.
Major roadshow.
I saw some news about some of your latest projects. You want to tell us about, I don't know, Dubai or Jamaica?
Yeah, so Dubai could be possibly one of our biggest projects. We're expecting total project revenues of about $3.2 billion there. It's with a super solid developer building 9 islands in the world. So we're going to go see them this weekend to plan our launch in the fall. So really prepared, about 2,500 units there. So total of these projects we've signed amalgamate to about $8 billion US. A third of that is usually construction costs. That's our revenue. So you can kind of do the math, assuming you know my margins, what our EBITDA will be.
Sure. Well, I think the interesting...
And that's through time, Kaylee. That's not a one-shot thing.
So I think what's interesting, I guess, is that relative to other kind of like software or tech kind of business models, you're collecting revenue, you're making bookings up front, and your revenue will be collected when the houses are paid for.
Where they're basically, the deposits up until installation.
Got it. So you care to share any numbers here, or are you kind of keeping things mum? Or?
I think I just told you, north of $8 billion total expected project revenue, about a third of that. So, we're still June. We wanted to be in 25 countries by the end of this year. We're in 21 right now.
Yep.
So we just signed Brazil and Thailand last week. So we're very, very aggressive.
Yep. So your margins, I know you didn't mention that, like it would be roughly
about 25 to 30%.
Okay, now that's pretty amazing. So tell us about like the part of where financing comes in, because I think that you funded it yourself when you first got started. Like, what is that fundraising journey like?
No. I mean, it was very angel round, right? So just to go through people, and obviously I wanted a solid VC to come in, sort of the seed round, and you got it, Kaylee. You got it early on, and so I think you're very happy right now, I hope, with the current valuation and at least on paper.
Yeah, you're a paper billionaire, Robbie. Like, but we'll talk about how to turn that paper to money in a sec.
But I think this is not just about achieving a financial goal. It's really trying to provide something that we feel no one else could provide. There's a niche in the space which is unserved, which is basically we are the only branded housing company in the world, bar none. So we've tried to do it in an expeditious manner, as I just said, in accessible price points. Fortunately, we have the IP to protect ourselves. So a lot of people ask, you've asked me when you were investing, like, can people replicate this business model? Yes, to a certain extent, but not to this magnitude. And that actually differentiates us. And we feel we're in a specific, you look at other spaces you've invested in, whether they're ride sharing or other service company, and it's very crowded. Yeah. We feel very happy where we are, and we're gonna go.
Well, I don't think like the average entrepreneur is gonna go ahead and to tackle this kind of market anywhere. You came from industry, so maybe it's like more easy for you. But we've got a couple of minutes left over here. I want us to stretch out to the future of what's this gonna be. You talked about giving the world something they really need, and I think affordable housing becomes a theme on top of our mind, right? And a lot of the new countries you're going to, they're developing countries. So what is your dream of the kind of projects you really want to be doing in the next couple of years?
We want to see ourselves. I always say we want to. You can call us, or we want to be known as a Tesla on foundations, or the Zara of homes, right? Sort of that price point, pret-a-porter, not haute couture, sort of mass market but aspirational. That is the thickest market, and that's where we want to be. Using our CSR efforts as well, we've been approached and will delve into and launch very soon socialized housing using our technology, not using design. So it's obviously very price driven, but really trying to catering B2G now.
Wow, so you're going to use tech to make houses cheaper, more robust, and more accessible for the world, essentially.
Big time. I mean, if you look at the math, right? I mean, countries like Indonesia, Thailand, Philippines, just around us right now have a backlog of anywhere from 6 million to 12 million households, right? So that's an opportunity. Imagine us getting 10% of that space, right?
Well, I think that I think this is definitely one of those things, you know, urbanization is something that is really hard for a lot of people to track. I'll give you an example of Jakarta, right, where my wife and I have been living for the past 2 years. If you look at a census, it's like 11 million people in Jakarta, 12 million depending on the source. But if you look at Facebook monthly active users or daily active users on time of day, they go all the way up to 20 million. So with the breadth of new people moving into cities, I'm sure that this is going to space that they would require a lot of technology to help accommodate for. Now, kind of lastly, right, when you stretch this really big, I remember when we were jamming on kind of like the dynamics of unicorns and building big businesses, right? You talked about Zara, the Zara of homes. I think there are other self-made billionaires in this century who also had the same theme. They took something which is luxurious or something very valuable and made it more affordable. We have, who else
think
were there?
IKEA.
IKEA, right? IKEA.
Biggest furniture company, right? I mean, Zara, biggest fashion company.
Uniqlo as well,
Uniqlo.
right? The dude's also like a top 10
before
richest in the world.
Masayoshi Son was the wealthiest person in Japan, right? I mean, you see this theme throughout many industries. Look, think about it. If I just hit the top 2% of the pyramid, first and foremost, do they really need Revolution to hire Jean Nouvel? They can probably pick up their check, pay $2 million, have their customized home. Not tremendous value proposition, and not really scalable. I mean, our first project, Batlaw Artscapes, is 8,500 homes. Our second project, called Flavorscapes, which is the world's first livable food park, is 14,000 homes. We want volume.
Got it. So you're taking this luxury, bringing it out to the masses. You know, with that, time's kind of up. I hope this little segment of us jamming with Robbie kind of gives you an example of one type of unicorn and the kind of themes and dynamics as you search for investing in others. I know that I've learned a lot about investing in unicorns from the unicorn founders themselves. So let's join us a big round of applause to thank Robbie, for giving us this insight.